Hello and welcome to Word on the Street. Thank you so much for joining, especially if you're new. But today, to be honest, you're going to be thanking me. I hope you have your pens at the ready because I have an amazing guest who is really going to help you attract more leads via SEO. Honestly, there's so much in today. So if you've not joined before, hi, welcome. You are here. You are ready to learn, I hope, because this podcast is always all about how to attract and convert more leads, prospects, sales opportunities, whatever you want to call it. This is what this podcast is all about. And specifically in the B2B space, and even more specifically, often in the MarTech and agency marketing space. So if any of that resonates with you, you're in the right place. Even if you're not, you're still going to love this because if you care about SEO, I have got so much good content for you today, guys. I cannot actually believe what I've just been through. It's made me want to do loads. So I have just been talking to the amazing Steve Wiideman. He is president and SEO consultant of Wiideman Consulting Group. And honestly, he has just got so much good information on how to develop good SEO strategies. He shares so much on today's podcast. He's a writer, he's a scientist, a professor, and a practitioner of search optimization. He shares tips, tricks, tools, everything that you need to know to go and implement a really successful SEO strategy for your business and for your clients' businesses if you're an agency is on today's podcast. So I'm going to shut up and we are going to go and meet the fantastic Steve Wiideman of Wiideman Consulting Group. Hello, Steve, and welcome to Word on the Street. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to talking search with you and nerding out a little bit on digital marketing.
Me too. I feel like I'm going to learn. So, do you know what? SEO and PPC are not a space that I play an awful lot in. We've got clients that are, performance marketing and do a lot of this stuff. But ourselves at Street, although we do quite a bit, I would say we're probably better with SEO than we are with PPC stuff. I don't, not that I don't believe in PPC. Of course I do. I just don't place my efforts there. We get better results from doing other things as a rule. So I'm super interested to learn some tricks and things that I can do to things that I can do to improve the performance of the Street website and the Tamba website and all of our clients' websites. So I feel like I'm going to not just get to nerd out with you, but learn so much.
That's the plan, I hope. And, I've changed a little bit over the last few years as a teacher. I was just an agency runner for a while and a consultant, and I got pulled into teaching. So a lot of what I do now when I talk about search is really driven off of what I feel like students can understand. So if you would have talked to me 3 years ago, we'd be talking algorithms and knowledge graphs and entities and things. And now today, it's I know that some of the audience can be like, yeah, I just want to know what the heck you're talking about. And so I think today we're going to have a lot of fun because we can get into some really fundamental things that lay the groundwork and hopefully create a rabbit hole for people to go explore and learn more about the topic. That's my hope anyway.
I love it. Well, I'm going to, that's for sure. If no one, I'm sure there'll be lots of listeners doing the same, but if no one else does, then I'm going to. So before we get into that, you've already started to allude to a little bit about your history, but tell me more about Steve and your journey to becoming this amazing, SEO teacher.
Sure. I think it stems from passion. I was working at IBM, and one of my jobs there was to move files that used to get printed on a Xerox printer and sent to a shipping room to taking those same files and identifying different common attributes of them online and moving them to an actual digital format so that our client at the time, Pacific Air Health Systems, now United Health, could get all of their reports through the internet. And I'm sitting there doing this every day, and I'm realizing, you know what? I have a feeling the whole world is going to go from offline to online at some point. People might even buy stuff on the internet, right? Buy some, who knows, at some point that thinking what was going to happen with the web was just incredible for me. So one day I got a postcard from a school, and they said, hey, you can get a degree in e-business management. And I'm like, that's it. I know exactly what I want to do the rest of my life. And, I went back to school, got my degree, immediately picked up some really exciting jobs in the digital marketing space. One for a ticket company called Paciolan, similar to Ticketmaster, and got to help with different areas of what we did for search and email back then. And then I was fortunate enough to pick up a job at Disney. So I ran the ads for Disneyland.com, Adventures by Disney. Had to convince my boss at the time that I knew enough about the search engine optimization that we could do more than PPC. Because like you, I think there's more interesting things that you can do in organic search than in PPC. It's less mathematical and pattern driven. It's more about experimentation and testing and see what users and search engines respond to. So I tried to impress him, and I showed him some SEO things, and he says, you really want to impress me? Show me that you can rank for the term SEO expert. And this was in 2006. And so I went out, built a website, created a page called SEO_expert.htm because 2006. I got to the first page after a couple months, and I went back, and I'm like, there I am. I'm on the first page. And he goes, well, you're not number one. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go back, I do a little bit more experimentation. I do events. I build the largest meetup group here in Orange County. And for SEO, I had one point a standing room where people were poking their heads in and taking notes from the doorway because I was so passionate about what I was doing in SEO. And what I would do is I would ask people to search. Search SEO expert. Where do I rank? Oh, you're number 4. Fantastic. Hey, how many people clicked on my listing? Wow, that's amazing. What you just did was help influence Google's opinion of my listing being more helpful and help move me up. And so I did little exercises like that, little experiments. And before you know it, I got to that number 1 spot. I walked into the office at Disney. At the time, a gentleman named Brad Fallon owned that number 1 spot. And Brad was one of my heroes. I looked up to him. He's a super cool guy. But I walk in with an 80s boombox into the Disney office that we're at. And I'm playing Ludacris, Get Out the Way, right? And one of the guys like, what's going on with Wiideman? Why is he jamming out? He's like, you must have beat Brad for the number 1 spot for SEO expert. And from there, we were able to take one of the Disney sites to HTML. And, instead of just this big Flash website that wasn't crawlable. And, my passion and my love and my joy for search just evolved from there. 2010, decided to be closer to home, started my own little consultancy, worked with some really exciting brands through referrals and people I had known at Disney and from being number 1 for SEO expert. and got to work with Skechers and Belkin and Linksys and some really, really exciting brands. At some point, I couldn't manage the hours and I had to bring in some people. And 2015, we incorporated and became Wiideman Consulting Group. There are 10 of us now on the team. Our new president is Will Pemble, who was one of the co-founders of Web.com. And now we work with, I believe a big chunk of the restaurant chains, the largest restaurant chains here in the States. So been an exciting journey. And part of my dream was to teach. And a few years ago, I finally got to do that. While I was teaching, I realized there's no curriculum and no textbook for SEO. So I got together with Professor Scott Cowley of University of Michigan, and he and I wrote a textbook. And now our textbook's been adopted, I believe, by about 35 universities who have online marketing courses. And so if you do take an online marketing course here in the state, it's a pretty good probability that you'll use my textbook. And then here I am getting to hang out with you and talking about SEO. And that's my journey.
I mean, Steve, what a journey. Like, well done, by the way. And it sounds like you're really enjoying it as well and doing something that you love and you're passionate about. And you know what I loved is sometimes we think about SEO as this really techie thing, right? We think about it about, words on a website. But actually, the things that you need to implement to get you there are often real world things and not flashy and techie, like events. So that kind of leads me into what I hope is a good first question is, what are the right components in order to deliver a really good plan for SEO or start setting a plan for SEO? What are the different things and components that you should be thinking about to start to play in to really get you the reach that you need? I guess, now, today, what kind of things could we be doing?
I think I would start with the broader idea of what the components are of just really, really 30,000 foot view search. And that is for organic web. And we're talking about the blue links and black text that appear, not the images and videos, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit. there are three components, right? And when you're working on your website, you have to ask yourself, does this fall in line with one of these three things? Number one, am I making content that's more relevant and helpful than the competing listings that appear for the keyword I want to appear for? Number two is, did I do something in the past 30 days that amplified the visibility of that page off the website? Did I get other websites to link to me, to maybe curate my short summary that I have at the top of the page in hopes of getting that beautiful featured answer that we see? Did I get other people referencing and mentioning, or even using some of the media from the page and giving us credit? The third thing is, am I doing enough, and did I do enough in the past 30 days to increase the probability of somebody clicking on my listing and staying on my webpage? A peer recently at a conference I went to called it the final destination. Did I make sure that I was the final destination that somebody went to after performing a search? And that's where some of that coding and, like you were mentioning, events and things can go into play, where our listing isn't just a blue link and black text, but instead it's got a thumbnail of a video or an image next to it. It's got additional details or frequently asked questions. What did I do to stand out in the search results that's more compelling than the other things that competitors have done to stand out in the search results? And if you're doing those three things, then you've built a foundation for doing website optimization for ranking. But there are components that are actual tangible things that you'll do. But remember, if somebody says, hey, I have a trick, a technique, a hack, right? You've got to ask them one of those two things. Is this going to help my page be more helpful? Is it going to expand my visibility in places that matter? Or is it going to help with my click-through rate? And like, no, it's just this hack. You got to do this thing where you get all these links from all these networks and stuff. And then, and you're like, yeah, I don't think that really sounds like it fits in alignment with that. So it'll keep you on the right path, or the white hat path, as they call it in the SEO world. So here are the things that you want to put together as you're putting together a strategy. Number one is doing a technical audit, and maybe even doing a few of them, with other SEO practitioners, and kind of folding them into one, because every SEO expert has their own view of what's important and what's not. And when you do a few of these different audits, you'll find that there's some things that might not overlap, and some things that might not make as much sense, or might not be as important. But you'll find some overlapping things and go, okay, obviously 3 different SEOs said that this is something I need to fix. And you're right, you can rank really well with just a focus on content. But if Google can't crawl or access that page because you've accidentally put a tag on there that blocks search engines from crawling it, or created some sort of a loop that you don't know about, that search engines find 30 different versions of the same page and they're not really sure which one to index, then that's problematic. So technical SEO is a foundational part of search, and a lot of technical SEO is set it and forget it. There's still some things that we'll monitor and we'll test and we'll try to improve. But once your site's secure, you've got SSL. Once your site has accessibility handled, once your site has mobile page speed and page experience attributes handled, then you've sort of already handled those fundamental technical things. So the tech audit plays into your technical tasks that go to your webmaster, and then you can move on to the next report. The next report is a competitive baseline. I want to know right now where I am compared to the competition, not just in keyword rankings, but in speed, and how we're delivering content, what our top pages are that are receiving traffic versus the competitors. I want to know some of the common SEO metrics from third-party tools, so I have that baseline, because there's nothing worse than being a year into an SEO program and going to stakeholders and saying, look at where we are now. And they go, wow, that's fantastic. Where were we when we started? And you're like, oof, I forgot to create a baseline, right? And you have nothing to measure against. So really important to create that report. And from that, you can actually draw some observations and create some inferences, and and then of course build some tasks, that action items that come from what you learned about the competition. We should really look at doing a Veterans Day page, because the competitors are earning a lot of links by offering free deals on Veterans Day, which is on Friday. So I think that's a big component. The next one is the off page. We're talking about how important it is off the website. So creating an initial link analysis and strategy gives you a bit of a competitive edge. And we break it up, right? We've got these quick wins. In the first few months, what can we do right away to earn some links? The easiest way to do it is find out who's linking to pages that no longer exist on your website. Can we recreate those pages, or did they just move to a different URL and we can just redirect it? If we redirect it, then when Googlebot's crawling through the internet, it's not going to hit a 404 page and go, oh, well, I guess that's not very helpful, and leave. They're going to go, oh, this page moved, and they're going to pass the voting power of that link to the new page. So quickly doing that, it only takes a few minutes to go into your Google Analytics, right, and look at the titles and content that contain not found, and you'll have a big list. Figure out what those pages were and figure out how to redirect them to, the best corresponding page. The next big easy win is go out to anybody who's mentioned you online, maybe even get Google alerts for your business name or whatever you're optimizing for, and just go, hey, thank you so much for mentioning me. Wouldn't it be great if people who wanted to learn more about me could just click on my name or our business name and visit our website? That way, you're not really asking for a link. You're just saying, hey, let's see if we can get them to, to activate that mention. So you build this plan. Oh, one of the things that we do in that link analysis too is we find out your top competitors. We figure out where they're getting links, and we run a little bit of a pivot table in Excel. And you can Google how to do a pivot table if you've never done one. But you take all of those links that the competition have earned, maybe even the top 20 or 50 competitors in your industry, and then you run a pivot table to see where the most frequent are, because that's a great way to kind of understand the semantic web and be categorized correctly. If we're a search engine trying to understand what a website's about, and we have links from the same websites that other industry competitors have, it puts us in that same bucket of who we are. And I would ignore all the ones that you feel aren't actually going to drive referral traffic. They aren't relevant to your business. There's a lot of other weird websites that will scrape or link to sites for no apparent reason. I wouldn't waste my time with them. Focus on what's going to drive more business. And the last most important part of really putting together a strategy is the content plan. And I can tell you this one can get really challenging and really time consuming. And so much to the point where I've had people watch me do it, and they're like, how do you have the patience to go through all these lines of Excel and look at all of these different keywords, and create this new sitemap based on how people search for what you do? And I said, well, it's 25 years of doing it, right? It's like, it's repetition. It's the 10,000th hour that I've hit in doing it. But when you do take the time to take all those keywords that your competitors are appearing for, filtering out their names, you come up with this massive list of search terms that you could appear for when people are searching for what you do, what you offer, what you sell. And so that's the biggest, most important roadmap, in my opinion, around SEO. Of course, you can't get to that content if you don't do that tech audit, but creating an actual taxonomy plan or a content roadmap. What pages do we need and how should they be organized? Let's create a page that's our most important keyword. Maybe I'm an attorney and I think they call it solicitor, right? And I want to be number one for truck accident lawyer. Well, there's 10,000 other attorneys and they all have a truck accident lawyer page on their website. How do I compete with them? Well, maybe I can do some keyword research and find out the different ways that people are searching for truck accident lawyer. As it turns out, they're searching for cement truck accident lawyer and delivery truck accident lawyer and logging truck and tractor trailer truck and 18-wheeler and big. Wow, I could create a page for each of those different needs that somebody has and silo it underneath truck accident lawyer. Now I've got one page with several supportive pages underneath it that can all be crawled and indexed and mapped through my breadcrumb system that I have, right? Home, truck accident lawyer, and supportive page. Wow, I've got 81 supportive pages of content now under my truck accident lawyer. And 12 months later, after Google's had time to index and test those pages to see how they perform and how helpful they are, I'm going to see this nice little hockey stick effect, and I'm going to be number one for truck accident lawyer. And this did happen a few years back. 2019, we helped an attorney do that, closed $40 million in cases, and sent my wife and I to Cancun for a week, first class. And so I know it works because I've seen it happen. And that's in the US, that's a $999 keyword bid in PPC, because it's a $2 million case that each of those leads come into or result in. So putting those different components together, the tech audit, the competitive baseline, the link analysis and strategy, and that content roadmap, and putting all of those into your project management system and assigning them to the webmaster, to the writer, to the social media outreach PR folks, and holding everybody accountable to a weekly meeting and getting those things done is the perfect way to create an actual SEO strategy that isn't just doing SEO, but instead just checking off boxes of what we knew or what we learned with that we need to do to be effective in SEO over the next 12 months.
Hey guys, just interrupting very quickly because I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you about Tamba. If you're enjoying today's podcast, I know you are going to love the Tamba platform. Tamba is full of all the insights, hints, tips, and fantastic content and training and templates and events that you need to enable you to attract and win more new clients yourselves. If you enjoy the podcast, it's this kind of content that you'll be able to see, get more of, save to your profile, work through training programs with some of my fantastic guests actually. So if you haven't checked it out already, please do www.tamba.io. That's www.tanba.io. Go have a look. I hope you love it, and I hope to see you at some of our online events very, very soon. I love that. Steve, that was amazing. Oh my goodness. I mean, what a great clip. I'm going to use that for socials. Guys, watch this space. I mean, so good. Do you know what you're making me think? I said at the beginning, we don't really do loads of SEO. We do. Of course we do, because every single piece of content that we develop for our clients is grounded in research and insights, and Google is your friend. And, we do a lot of those research pieces to define the right content subjects, to understand what it is that audiences are searching for. And we used to use, I don't want to say too much about it. We used to use a really good platform, Steve, that helped us do this. So, I mean, I don't want to put you out of a job because, of course, this is what you do. But are there any, I mean, certainly in the States, probably there are. We used to use a platform that isn't around anymore that actually helped us do all of this. So it kind of, everything that you've just spoken about, it kind of looked at the data. It told you, based on your audience, what they were searching for. It helped you structure the articles so that they were more SEO friendly. I mean, obviously that, they need to come and work with you guys and agencies, but for some businesses maybe that are trying to do this, are there any, not shortcuts, but are there any tools, technologies, or anything that people can use to try and, I guess, get it right is what I'm getting to?
Sure. Yeah. And I'm not an agency, right? I'm a consultancy, and I'm a teacher. So I have no black box. I'll share all the tools with you. All right.
I love
it. No budget, and you're going at this completely on your own. The best tools to start with are going to be Google Search Console. It's going to be a great place to start. Set up your Looker Studio account. Such a creepy name. It was Data Studio, and now it's Looker Studio. Come on, Google, what are you doing? Also, free to use. Bing Webmaster Tools is also a great resource. And then if you go to web.dev, there are just tons of articles and tools and things that you can do, to test your website and test your web content and see how it's performing. I would say start with those tools if you're really just bootstrapping and don't have a budget. If you're a smaller business and maybe you've got a couple $100s a month, some of our favorite tools include SEMrush. We've been with them for years and years and years, and they've been fantastic. It is a bit of an all-in-one. They're working on different ways to make it better, and compete with some of the bigger brands that we'll talk about in a second. The next is going to be Ahrefs. Also has an all-in-one suite available to you, but we've noticed their keyword database is a little bit different than SEMrush's, but their link database, and where we go to find links and link opportunities, and their link tools are a little easier to use than SEMrush. So we've been kind of using both. If I had to pick one, I'd go with SEMrush, and then, maybe do a trial or something of Ahrefs. Another tool that you could use that's also affordable and in that same range of things is called Screaming Frog. And Screaming Frog is actually based out of UK. And they've got this incredible tool that you can download, and it'll crawl through your website and give you all sorts of information about, do you have crawl errors that Google can't access pages? Are there missing alt attributes on images? And there are some other features, if you really explore the tool, that allow you to see how Google might be thinking you're prioritizing your content based on how you're linking to your most important pages. And Google might think, wow, your privacy policy must be really important because you link to it more than you do your services pages, right? Well, that's not right. I need my services pages to be linked more. So I need to go through all my content and see where I can add more links to that page to tell the search engines, that this page is the most important. So a really neat tool that you can use. And that runs you, I think, about $150. I don't know what that would be in pounds, but so those are the mid-level business tools. And the enterprise, if you're a larger brand and you've got some budget to play with, there are some really, really good enterprise programs. None of them create a site taxonomy for you. I don't know why. There are sites all over the internet that they're crawling, but they don't. None of them produce that taxonomy we were talking about. And I still can't find an automated way to do that. And so that's why it's such a manual process. And it's why so many SEO agencies don't do it. It's very expensive and it's very time consuming. And when we do one, it's around $40,000 to put the time and energy and effort into creating that. When we look back at the millions of dollars of revenue that the brand makes in the next 2 to 5 years from creating that content, the ROI is obviously there, but it's a significant investment. So those tools include Conductor. It used to be called Conductor Searchlight. Conductor's, our favorite of the mix. We've been with them forever. Their user interface has always been super beautiful and clean and gorgeous graphs and aesthetics. Next one would be Bright Edge. Bright Edge, and I haven't looked at it in a while, but it didn't have that same sort of aesthetic feel, but had a really cool tool called the Data Cube that you can do some really rich keyword research with and robust keyword research with. And then the third is Search Metrics. The difference between the three, Search Metrics actually takes in historical keyword data, whereas when you start adding in keywords into Conductor and Bright Edge, it starts tracking them as of now. Whereas Search Metrics has a lot of historical data around keywords. So those are kind of the three different ones. But when I've been asked, what's the difference between, say, a Conductor and a Search Metrics? Well, Conductor's like Legos. They've got all the components and pieces that you need to stack and build whatever you want to build. Search Metrics is like Play-Doh. And it's this big thing that you have to configure and set up to make it exactly what you want it to be. And so for a lot of brands, they don't have a lot of experience with the platforms. It's all kind of new to them. They haven't been working with them and chipping away at a Search Metrics account for 5 years to create a new one. Then Conductor is probably the right way to go. So those are the big three in enterprise, some tools you could use if you're a small business, and some bootstrap ways to get started right away in search.
Do you know what? I love doing this podcast because I learn so much. I hate doing it because I'm like, I need to be doing more. We do so much at Street. We cross, all of the different marketing pillars. We do everything from content creation to social to, website reviews to campaigns, events, everything. And every time I'm like, I need to do better. I need to do more. And then I deep dive into something like this and I'm going, I want to do this, this and this and that. And I'm going, oh my gosh, how am I going to do it all? So those tools for a business like me, which, we're still a small business, similar size to you guys, I guess we're about 10 people. Awesome. I can't do everything, but what I can do is do everything that I am doing to the best that I can within the time and the resource that I have. So these kind of tools just make all of that so much easier.
They do. Especially with content segmentation, when you get into some of those, middle to enterprise tools, you can actually create using tags and categories content segments. So for one of the restaurant chains we work with had a huge priority during the pandemic because nobody could go into restaurants. We were on lockdown. I'm like, well, we got to keep the kitchen lights on. So remember this recommendation we made 2 years ago? Let's test this and see if it helps, right? Well, we'll try anything at this point. I'm like, great, we can finally get some work done. And so we ended up creating a delivery, a takeout, and a sub page underneath every single location's dedicated location page. So, and in doing that, we started to see orders coming in from people who are doing takeout and delivery, and we kept the kitchen lights on, and a big part of keeping the kitchen lights on. And when you look at some of the chats you hear from the restaurant CEOs, they're going to give a lot of credit during the pandemic to their off-premises efforts, and a lot of that stemmed from what we did at Wiideman to help sort of reinvent sub pages underneath local pages, which is something we did back in like 2014 with a auto chain out here. So I think and that was interesting because it did help. But what happened when they reopened and now people are going back in and they're ordering online, and there's one person running the place because they're understaffed because nobody wants to go back to work because the government's just giving away free money. Why should I have to? I'm just going to, enjoy taking a long vacation. So then we created a jobs subpage, restaurant jobs near me being the key word. I got to the first page within a few weeks because apparently the job market was really, dismal over here. And we were able to help drive 52,000 applications to that breakfast chain. So solving two problems, by understanding what the business needs are, as opposed to just taking a conveyor belt effect approach of here's all the things we do for SEO, and now let's walk away. It's like, well, where are the opportunities? Hey, Olive Garden, a real nice Italian restaurant over here, does a lot of pasta and breadstick promotion, and we offer pasta and breadsticks now because we noticed that there's an opportunity. So let's create a pasta and breadsticks page. Next thing you know, Applebee's is number one for pasta and breadsticks. And you're like, wow, this worked. We just took over a big share of voice of, pasta and breadsticks related queries that this one chain, had been getting for years. And I don't think they even knew what hit them.
Yeah, it is. It's scary. And some of it's so basic that we forget to do it. So I guess that's my next question really is, whether you're a business, you're an agency, you're a consultancy, how do you keep on top of this? Because there's obviously a very big difference between developing your plan up front and then keeping on top of that. So in terms of running your SEO and making sure that you're, staying number one or at least staying, in the top 20, whatever it might be, how do we keep on top of it to make sure that we're consistently relevant and ranking for the things that we need to?
I think there's two areas there. One is knowledge of what's happening in search. And after our chat today, I'm going to send you some links that you can share. One of which is a file that you can upload to Feedly, Feedly. It's basically a feed aggregator that pulls in posts and articles from sites that I follow. And the top group is search engine news. So all the different search engine news sites like Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Roundtable, all the search engine news sites, I can see in one beautiful view every day and know what's happening, what's changing. People are talking about, an algorithm change and what it affected and what we need to do to respond to it as quickly as we can. I have another one that's Elite SEO of people that I really trust that put out some incredible content on search. So you could see that in sort of like a newspaper every day. You log in, you get your coffee or your tea, and you look at all the things that are happening right now in search. So staying on top of what's happening in the industry has played a really important role in it. I also have a Twitter feed, an SEO experts Twitter list that I follow. So every so often I'll toggle over to that Twitter list and see what the other experts are talking about right now. Now for the SEO itself, the monitoring is really important. So I think when you're looking at your weekly reports and you're logging into your SEMrush or your Conductor or whatever you happen to be using, you see trends. You look at and you drill down to different categories and, oh my God, we just lost a lot of rankings on delivery. What's going on? I don't know. Let's take a look and see who's ranking now and what the difference is between the ranking page and our page. Let's look at those three factors, the helpfulness and relevancy. Let's look at the technical attributes and the page speed. Let's look at links that are going into to that page from other pages and try to understand what they're doing differently. That's one way to keep on top of it. But the other way is to not rest on your laurels, but instead to continuously be testing new things. And if you're continuously improving content helpfulness and continuously improving links and continuously improving your click-through rates and learning how to be the final destination, then you're going to be in great shape. So I think one thing I noticed too is when a few years back I was working with a major storage brand out here, and the marketing manager loved going through our reports every month and saying, okay, great, mobile's up, and our organic from desktops doing what it does, and we're down a little bit on self-storage, but we're up on storage. Great, okay. And then when we get to the last slides in the appendix, we've got screenshots of what's changed on the competitor versions of the templates that we have. So if it's a storage unit page, we'll have a screenshot of the competitor storage unit page. If it's a city page listing storage locations, it'll be a screenshot of that. And so he got really excited on those slides, more so than the data itself, because he was really curious what the competition's up to. And you don't need a lot of manual work to do that. You can use a program called Visual Ping. It's free for up to so many queries, I think, or up to so many pages. Visual Ping. It's a Chrome extension. You just click it and say, I want to know whenever something significant changes on this page. Go out and do that for each of your competitors' versions of the 10 or 20 most important pages that drive most of your customers from organic. And so that way you get an alert when something changes. By the way, I use that same tool to track all of the Google SEO starter guide and Google documentation. So, and guidelines. When Google changes their guidelines and documentation, I get an alert and I can see what changed, what was there before, what's gone, what's new. And another way to kind of keep abreast of what's happening in the industry. So there's some ways to get started. If you want to maintain your SEO and stay alert and not just be blindsided by a competitor, follow your rankings, drill down into certain segments, based on your business objectives, and pay attention to what the competition's up to.
So good. Honestly, Steve, you've got to stop giving me ideas. Like, so much content today. This is amazing. Amazing, amazing. Okay, cool. I mean, I feel like I've already got too many things to do. I've actually got, look, this is how sad. Sorry, not everyone will be able to see this because if you're listening on Spotify, but I've got sticky notes after sticky notes here of things that I've been writing down while Steve's been talking because there's just so much gold in here. So there's going to be some great content that we're going to be able to create for you all of this as well. So I think we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, but in terms of an SEO roadmap system, how can this be helpful for agencies and for their clients to kind of stay on top of all of this?
Sure. Well, I think the project management systems play a big part in that. Whether you're using Basecamp, we've fell in love with Monday.com. We really enjoy Monday, and it's a great way to organize your tasks into groups, create subtasks, so it doesn't become some gigantic, overwhelming list. With some of the agencies that we do training with, we've taught them how to use short sprints. So there's not just a massive list of tasks that you're chipping away at. Obviously you could create filters and say, let's work on high priority, low effort level tasks first, which is the way that we used to operate. But we found that it still feels overwhelming because there's a lot of things to be worked on. So, we regroup with everybody once a month with your clients and with the team. And then you decide together, what do we want to put into the next sprint? Most sprints are, about a month. It's a month goes by really quick. And if you get all of that work done in that sprint and there's still time available, then add some more items to it, right? That's okay to move something up from your, upcoming tasks. So I think running in short sprints makes it palatable, doesn't feel overwhelming. Everyone's on the same page. The second part is collaboration. There's a lot of, what's the word I want to use? There's a lot of snake oil, unfortunately, in SEO, and a lot of small businesses have been taken advantage of by companies that are selling something that the business owner doesn't know what they're buying. And so I think transparency is so important. Our whole consultancy is based on that. And so when we start working with a client, we create a Google Drive folder and we share it with our client. Everything that we work on is stored there. There's nothing kept locally on our computers. When it's done, it goes to that folder and it's theirs. It's their client has access to the same research and data and all the things that we've been working on in one place. The project management system, our clients are invited to it. They're all using and monitoring and seeing what we're working on, and we're tagging them to get approvals and to share when we've completed a task. So having that collaboration with your client, you might have some secret sauce. Your client doesn't care. They're not going to sell that. They're not going to go out and build a business off of it. They have their own business. Just be open. Share everything that you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and then hold yourself accountable to it and invite your client to help you hold yourself accountable to it, because they're going to be like, hey, notice you had a lot of things that you were going to do in the last couple of weeks and I haven't seen any activity. Like, yeah, we need to do a better job. Good. And do a better job, grow, learn from it. But so many SEO agencies sweep work under the rug, or they assign too many projects to one SEO specialist and try to figure out ways. And the client, most of the time, they don't know, because if you've done some work a few months back, they're going to feel it a few months after. And they won't be like, hey, what are you guys working on? I'm not seeing you change, because they're seeing change from what you did a few months ago. So SEO companies tend to take advantage of that. And from an ethics standpoint, I don't know. I don't think that's the right way to approach, a partnership like that.
Yeah, I'm so with you on that. I think that is great advice for any type of agency and any kind of service business, really. That transparency, the project management tools. We're exploring, by the way, Monday.com. We've used Trello to date, but I am loving Monday. I think it's so, I mean, I haven't had as deep dive into it as some of the rest of the team, but it looks so much better. So
Amazing.
much better, so much more that you can do with it. So, yeah, maybe I'm going to steal you separately, Steve, to talk me through how you guys use
Sure.
Monday.com.
Yeah, we could do a
But
screen share. I'd be happy to do that with you.
oh my God, I would really, really love that if you don't
Sure.
mind. Thank you. There, look at that. There we go. Learning, sharing. And do you know what? That's what it's all about. The more I talk about this a lot from a marketing perspective, but you're
Mhm.
right. It's the same with clients. Be open, share everything. They are not going to be able to do what you do because they've got other jobs to do.
And they
Or
haven't hit the 10,000th hour like you have.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, that is something for some reason, and I make, I'm incredibly strict now. I make very fast decisions on agencies that we won't work with if they refuse to share you know, their insights, because they're like, oh, we don't want to share that because then, the client we're just telling them everything and they won't do it. No, you need to share that in your marketing. You need to share your insights, your
Right.
ideas, your knowledge. You need to be really transparent about your processes because
Mhm.
that people will still buy you. Yes, some people might try and do it themselves, and that's fine. They were probably always going to do that
And
anyway.
you're gonna
They
get
were never going to
referrals
buy
from
you.
them. You're gonna get
Yeah,
referrals from
exactly.
them. So,
Yeah,
of course.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I do this podcast, right? I get to learn loads. I get to share loads. That's what it's all about.
You brought up a
So,
good point. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
go on. No, no, no. You go. You go.
Well, I was just thinking about the sharing piece. I literally just got back from a mastermind summit in Arizona with the Digital Marketers Organization, the
Yeah.
DMO. They're amazing, and there's a lot of groups that are out there like that you can go to and collaborate with other SEOs. Everything from the G50 summit that happens in Austria every year to conferences that you can go to like PubCon and SMX. My favorite's the DMO because we've got a lot of agency owners that get together and share experiences, and templates and Data Studio or Looker Studio, templates. So we learn together. But there's also online places to do that. You can't get away. You can't join the DMO events. You can still collaborate in forums. Like there's the local search forum, and the DMO has their own at digitalmarketingorganization.org. There's also Facebook groups. I'm in like 20 of them. I don't get to engage as much as I'd love to, but there's SEO Signals Lab in Facebook. There's dumb SEO questions. Tons of places that you can go and just listen to conversations that are happening and watch, or that you could engage with, or just put a note out and say, I'm really stuck on this ranking thing. Any suggestions? And then all of a sudden, all these experts come in, with ideas and help and tips, which Quora can be good for too, but you don't have that same sense of community, and they're not motivated to help you because they want to. They're motivated because of the gamification part of it. But yeah, join a community, join DMO, join a group of other SEOs, and you're just going to be fire hosed with all sorts of new information and knowledge, and not have to learn the experiences that a lot of these folks have already gone through.
Do you know what? That is one of the fastest ways to get ahead. I can promise you this now. Like, I am part of Beamer in the UK. We have slightly different, I guess,
Awesome.
agency networks, but Beamer, the Drum, which is more of a publishing platform, but they do lots of events and things which I'm lucky enough to attend. Another agency group in the UK, Pimento. All of these groups, I get to meet people that work in a similar place or in a similar vein to the kind of work that I'm doing, and share with me tools, insights. I mean, one of the reasons that I do this podcast as well, I get to learn from my peers and people in the same industry that have similar challenges to me, and I get to learn about the tools, the approach. It is so, and that is what helps me get ahead. I'm always talking to the team at Street about how can we be more progressive? How can we be one step ahead of our competitors? How can we really do better for our clients? And a lot of that is technologies, advice, trying new things, innovating, and in order to do that, you're so much better to learn from others that have already been on that journey and work with platforms that they've used and they can tell you that they recommend, than you are trying to go and do it all for your first time on your own.
It's true. And the studies are great too. I love doing studies. I love studying studies. A study on click-through rate, a study on the effectiveness of video and how it affects your SEO. We did a study last year on local pages, because we work with so many of them. We studied 300 local pages to come up with what were the top ranking attributes, what's contributing to higher rankings on these pages themselves. And it was received so well that, it got mentioned in Site Pro News and Bright Local, and we won a Web Excellence Award for it too, which was really fun. So not only do you get to explore and dig into a certain category, if you do a really good job with research and how you present that research, like with us, we did you have 107% competitive advantage if you do this thing, which makes it so easy for you as an SEO to go to your boss and say, this is why we need to do this. The data says if we do it, we'll have an 84% competitive advantage if we put store images on our local page. So that's what I love about our industry. But the hard part is the fog that you create. And in some industries, you have structure and how you do things, and everything is done exactly the same way. And you follow the process and you follow the motions and you master what you're doing. In our industry, you can't really do that because every day you're testing and trying new things, and search engine results change. They become more universal. The shopping ads take over an entire, page. Every day it's different. And if you can accept that there's never going to be a perfect structure to how you do things, you're going to be an incredible SEO. But if you need too much structure, then your competitors are going to destroy you because they're going to be out testing and breaking things to try to figure out how to flank you.
I love it. Steve, you have given me so much to go and think about. I know you did. Honestly, I could literally talk to you for hours. Before I let you go, so the lovely Steve is in sunny LA. I am stuck in, I don't know, windy and rainy UK, not down near Bournemouth, not quite as glamorous as LA. But hey, we're still, we are the silicon south of the UK, so nearly as cool as you guys. Steve, what one thing for people that haven't really thought about their SEO strategies yet? Mm-hmm. What would be the one thing that you would urge them to go and do today?
I would say, I'll answer that if you call me darling one more time.
Okay, darling.
All right. We are in. Let's do this. So the number one easiest thing that you can do to sort of understand what the competition's up to and build your own little roadmap is just going to your competitors' websites and then add a slash at the end of the website and type in sitemap.xml. Download that sitemap, copy and paste it into Excel, whatever you want to do, and study your competitors' URLs to understand exactly what it is that they're doing to attract traffic. I can almost guarantee you that 75% or more of them have been focused on some level of SEO. And those pages, if you don't have the same pages on your website, might be a new opportunity for you to create a page that can start to get some traffic from search engines. And it's a really easy, free thing to do. Just go to your competitors' websites, type in sitemap.xml, download and study what the competition's up to. And I think doing that enough times, you'll start to see patterns and you'll start to pick out words and URLs and you'll be like, oh, that's what they're doing. You'll have that aha moment and suddenly SEO will make more sense to you.
Amazing. Street team, you better be listening to this. Let's go and do this for all of our clients. Great way for us to map extra research on SEO into all of our strategies. Steve, thank you so much. I have loved meeting you today. Honestly, this has been so insightful. Thank you so much for being so open and sharing all of your amazing knowledge. I'm so thankful for having you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am sure you will agree with me to say that is one of the most, giving podcasts that we have had in a while. There was so much for me to jot down. I literally have got post-its and post-its and post-its of notes of things I want to get the street team onto in order to get our SEO rankings better. And I am sure you have done the same. I will make sure all of the links and the references that Steve mentioned are in the show notes. So note to street team, make sure all of the links and everything that Steve spoke about is in the show notes, please guys, because there was so much in there that we need to share. And if you loved today's podcast, please do really just give yourself 2 minutes, or not even that, 30 seconds to pop over to Apple Podcasts and or Spotify and give us a follow so that future episodes download. If you're interested in sales and marketing tactics that are going to help you attract and win more new clients, I really try to speak to my favorite people in the industry consistently to arm you with all the knowledge and insights that you need to attract and win more new business. So go and give us a follow. Make sure that future episodes download. And if you can on Apple Podcasts, please give me a little 5-star rating. I do appreciate it, I promise. But otherwise, good luck with your sales and marketing outreach, especially with your SEO. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I certainly did.